For live or not, the intro didn't start, so I guess we're live. If anybody's in the...
You're muted now, by the way.
Right there, welcome to the latest episode of the live show. And we're going to do a wee sort of change up a formula for this one. I'm going to have Basil for about half an hour, and we're going to chat about today's news. I'm going to go over the videos that I've done today, 3 of them, and we'll cover that and any other new topics that are live today. And then we've got some Kev and Kev, unfortunately, and the usual gang are going to be coming in about 8:30, and then we'll see how things go. We'll maybe open it up to an open mic later on. So first things first, today's news. Basil, what's been your big takeaway from today's news?
Oh, well, to start off with, obviously, there's been that horrendous news out of London, which broke very early hours of this morning. It was in I think it was West Drayton area, it was reported as, but also Uxbridge, because obviously those two are adjoining areas. Basically, there was so 3 people have been stabbed by, and it's been confirmed now, an Afghan migrant. When this first broke, and it was middle of the night, it was about 2:00 in the morning, I heard about it, that this had been going on, and it was reported that there was loads of stuff going on, etc., loads of stuff going around, that there was some guy going crazy, and then next thing you know, a few hours later, bang, there was a murder. So there was a lot of misinformation at the start. We now know, unfortunately, he has killed a man who was walking his dog. He's also injured or wounded, shall I say, two other people, one of whom is a 14-year-old child. The video is going around on X. I haven't actually posted it. It's brutal beyond belief. In the past, I've posted these things, but I've had a number of people kind of say to me, you shouldn't post that stuff. And I haven't decided, but on reflection, I just decided not to do it this time. There's enough people posting it anyway if you want to go and see it. But it is brutal, and it's a man getting basically stabbed to death in the street. And you know, the fact that it was an Afghan migrant, I think, speaks volumes. The thing is, Sadiq Khan, Mayor of London, keeps saying that multiculturalism is our strength and all the rest of it, but yet we find time and time again it's actually massively to our detriment. And this is not an illegal migrant, by the way. Apparently, he's not an illegal. This is probably someone from the Afghan scheme that's been brought in, the tens of thousands that have been brought in, military people and their families allegedly. As me and you have spoke about before, Craig, a load of rubbish. The scheme's a complete scam. Even the MOD's admitted hardly any of these people actually helped us, and the ones who did should be settled nearer to Afghanistan, maybe to the neighbouring country. So, what we found is that once again, British lives are being lost, given away, stolen by not just migrants who are committing these murders and these horrible crimes, but the politicians that are letting them in, encouraging them to come here and commit them.
Aye, no, and you know, as soon as you hear about these things, the first thing you think of is it'll probably be a migrant. Now, call me a racist, call me whatever, but that's just where I think a lot of people's heads go, and you're just waiting for that news to eventually come out. But what I found surprising was, it turns out it was around about 5 p.m. last night. And it was, you were saying it was late on till you heard it, maybe 2:00 in the morning or something. And it was this morning before I picked up on it. And that's not like social media. Normally social media is a lot quicker. With these sort of things breaking. But yeah, I put out a video today and I used 2 clips from it. But there was one where you could just about see the guy was getting worked on. But I've since seen one which looks like the guy actually stabbing and slashing people, and it's quite horrendous. It's unfortunate, and you're just waiting for it to hear about the nationality and hear about whether he's an asylum seeker or not. But the guy obviously is an asylum seeker and he's been granted refuge here, so it's just another one, and people can call me whatever they want for making that comment. I don't care, and unlike people in the Reform Party, I'll not be apologising for it.
Yeah, aye.
Which I think we'll come to that, maybe.
No, I was going to say, though, you're right, and do you know what? This is what's making the country and the people of the country less civil and less tolerant towards migrants in general. I mean, Kev just said there, but digital ID is our biggest problem, we are being told. And you're absolutely right, Kev. This is the thing that they want. You wouldn't think these horrendous crimes were going on the way the government behaves. And it's not just the government, it's, other parties as well. The way they behave is like everything's fine and we're going to just deal with other things. I mean, it was announced just today that the government are going to have a debate in Parliament on how bright car lights are. Right, because they say that they think that they think that they're too bright now, and that they're going to have to. And it's like, mate, the house is on fire. Why are you debating? The scenery in the kitchen. You know what I mean? This is the problem, and it's absolute nuts, mate. But again, they want to keep the vast majority of people unaware. I mean, I'm one of these people who used to think that, conspiracy theories and that, take them with a pinch of salt. But the truth is, the media are complicit in this. They are completely complicit in it. And they keep covering it up, which is why independent journalists such as yourself, Craig, and so many of the auditors and so on are so important.
I'm not a journalist, mate. I'm just a nosy bugger with a loud mouth. I don't mind calling other people citizen journalists and stuff like that, and I don't mind people that call themselves citizen journalists, but I've got a kind of problem with that. I don't see myself as a journalist, so I don't know how to describe myself, but I don't really, and it's just putting people in boxes again. So that was the first story that I done this morning. It's been a busy day. I put 3 videos out with tea time, and that's not been like me recently. It's not been that much since my arrest. I've been kind of shying away from a lot of stuff, but I'm at court on the 7th of November, and hopefully I can see a lot more after the 7th of November. Anyway, so that was story number 1. And story number 2, I'll just stick the thumbnail at the back here, was this story with the asylum seekers going to army camps.
Yeah. I mean, look, we knew this was coming, right? Anyone who's been following what's been going on with illegal immigrants in this country, and I will not call them asylum seekers, they're illegal immigrants. The people who've been coming here, we know that they're putting military-age men in hotels and in HMOs, which are basically housings of multiple occupancy, which are in our streets, essentially. And obviously they want to try and clear out the hotels because the government want to be able to say that we've dealt with the problem of migrant hotels. But that doesn't mean they're getting rid of the migrants. They're just going to put them somewhere else. So what's happened is, obviously, because of the amount of backlash many of the hotels have getting, obviously because of the fact that the disturbance it's causing, they've looked at other alternatives. And what they've done is found old army barracks, which are on standby, basically not being used, and they're going to store them there instead. Now, that obviously brings some horrific connotations with it in itself, because for the longest time, people have, like Kev, for instance, have been seeing this is an army coming to our shores of, military-age men, and now they're putting them in military barracks. So what do you make of it?
It's just to try and reduce the hotels. That's what it is, right? When the more common sense thing to do would be to stop the people coming in the first place, right? That would be the best thing to do to reduce the stress on A, hotels themselves, and B, the amount of money that it costs us. And I seen something posted earlier on today, and I've just not had much time to go into it. And it was somebody claiming that the hotel bill went from £4.5 billion in a year, and the new figures are £15 billion in a year. Surely it's not trebled over a 12-month period, but I'm going to investigate that. That's a wee job for me tomorrow. But
it has. Yeah.
It's just bonkers,
so the bill is over a 10-year period, right? But what they've done is the estimate for how much it's going to cost over the 10 years has tripled within the last year.
Right. That'd be because of the contracts we're giving every bugger.
Yep.
But, I've always said, just stop them coming in. And I can say that, and I used to just leave it to other people to come up with the clever people to come up with the answer and how you do that. And then I found out the answer when I was in Lesbos, and I figured out what's actually going on. And what actually is going on is when these people come into Europe, whether that's Greece, Italy, being Lampedusa, or Spain, there's a lot coming in through the Canary Islands now. And once they get in, they claim asylum. And as I spoke to a Cameroonian guy called Nelson when I was in Lesbos, he told me that everybody gets asylum. It takes about 6 months maximum, because a lot of people get accepted first time, and if not, they knock you back. You just appeal it, and it'll take you 6 months as the sort of longest, and you'll eventually get granted refuge. And once they do that, they issue you with a travel document, a refuge. If you're in Greece, they'll give you a Greek refugee travel document. And part of the terms, you can go into any Schengen country for 90 days out of any 180-day rolling period. And that's how they end up in France. Then they go on a boat, they go out to the middle of the channel, escorted by the French, which I saw from my own eyes when I was in Dover and Calais before I went to Lesbos. We then pick them up with our border force and we bring them into Dover. And what do they do when they arrive in Dover? They claim asylum. Now, here's the kicker. I didn't know until I got to Lesbos, although the information is all online. I didn't need to go to Lesbos to find this out. I was just inspired to do it while I was there. And it's illegal to claim asylum when you've already got asylum. You've been granted asylum in Greece, Italy, or Spain. When you come here, you're then breaking the law, because you can't claim asylum when you've already been granted asylum. So I don't know how you work it out, but there must be a way of finding that out, and just send them to Ascension Islands. So once you come across here illegally, we'll send you to Ascension Islands and we will accept an application for asylum, but you'll spend your time in there until we decide whether you're going home or coming to the UK, and keep them there until they can prove who they are. And then when they find out who they genuinely are, you'll find out that they've claimed asylum, and you can bid them a bond farewell and ask them if they want dropped off in Greece, France, or the country of origin. And you wouldn't need to do that too often, and the boats will stop, right? So that's a way of solving it without putting anybody in barracks. So it's just bollocks. They have no intention whatsoever of stopping these people coming, because if they did, they would not do it. So there we go. What do you think, Basil?
I'm just sorry to divert back to what we were talking about there, but it's just been announced that the guy who committed the murder, the Afghan guy, arrived in the back of a lorry in 2020. So he's been here 5 years, illegal migrant. Again, that goes to show that they're never safe here, right? 5 years he's been here, right? And he then explodes in a rage and murders someone. This is not cool. And apparently the reason he murdered them was unprovoked. Now, here's my theory. The Afghan guy will have been a Muslim, and the guy he murdered was walking his dog. And as we know, Muslims don't like dogs, right? So, again, these people are not welcome here. They're not safe here. We're not safe with them being here. It's a question of morals and judgments. And the British government, unfortunately, for the longest time, we found that they don't care about British people. They care about other people, the oppressed people as they see them. It's horrendous. On your comment about the EU, mate, and Lampedusa and all the rest of it, look, the EU the British government's just an extension of the EU. We haven't left the EU. We're still in there. We're still entwined. These people still believe the same things, right? And as you exposed when you went to Lesbos, and you looked at the EU, I can't remember the name of the group now, with the Force EU thing.
Frontex.
Frontex, that's the one. Again, these things that were set up to look like, we're going to control the borders, but the truth is they're not going to control the borders. They're actually there to facilitate more of these people in. It's an open door, and unless we take control of our countries again by bringing in governments that will actually control the borders, we're screwed. We are absolutely screwed, and there won't be a Europe anymore. So it's just the way it is.
No, what's happened with Frontex? And again, I could have found this out before I went, right? But because there was so many weird things happened, I was actually talking to an ex-Forces guy tonight about this, because he didn't know about my Lesbos stuff. He heard me talking about them in a space last night. He went and watched the video and contacted me. and he's gave me some steps for a hint about what's really going on. And he knew about Frontex, and a lot of people did, but I didn't. And they had 2,500 of an army. This is an EU army, and they were pretty naughty. They were like puncturing boats and shoving them back in the water and stuff. So they get rid of the guy that ran it, and they brought in a Dutch guy called Littermans or something. Litterman, can't remember. Anyway, he came in, and he's a lefty. And apparently, I was speaking to somebody who knows of him, and he said he's lining himself up for a job, either in the UN or the EU. And the UN bit's interesting, because he's come out about a year ago and said that they're going to have 10,000 troops by 2027. And if anybody that they're in their country controlling their border, if anybody interferes with their work, they will get sanctions against them. So it'll cost them. They'll get EU sanctions, they'll get less aid or whatever. So then you've got to think, well, it could go one way or another here. It could be really, really tight in the border, or it could have like an open border policy. But the sort of giveaways to what way he's going to go is the fact that about 6-9 months ago, he done a cooperation agreement with the UNHCR, and that's the people that welcome the refugees. That gets £10 billion per year. It's the biggest block grant from any UN body. It's the UNHCR. They're building 5 super centres across Greece, 4 of them in the islands and 1 in the mainland, and they will fill them. And he's done a cooperation agreement with them to say that he will protect all the asylum seekers' safety and human rights. So you know where this is going. So these super centres will not be empty. It's a big scam. So anyway, I was talking to this guy last night about it, and I continued the conversation today. And it ain't stopping anytime soon. So we need to stop it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
so what's up?
I'm saying that you know, we're trying to get back to the story of the migrant camps. So the two that we know about, and there are looking to identify more. One of them's in Inverness and one of them's in Sussex. And the one in Sussex can hold about 600, and the one in Inverness is going to hold about 300. And what they've said is they will open the Sussex one end of November and the Inverness one early December for about 12 months. Now, we know that'll get extended, right? And somebody made a comment, I mean, Inverness will not be able to cope with 300 people once they get out the camp, you know, if they give them asylum. I says, it will be 300. Now, I don't know how long it takes for an asylum application, but I know through talking to the people in Lesbos, if it's okay, you can turn it around in about 3 months. So if they turn all these applications over in 3 months, that means they could recycle the place and have 4 intakes a year. That'd be 1,200 in Inverness. And once they come out, they can't, because there's this, the Home Office will look after the budget and stuff like that. That's all great. But what we need to remember, Scotland's got a different law, homeless law, to the rest of the United Kingdom. And the councils are legally obliged to house anybody that presents as homeless. So what happens is approximately 1,200 could be walking out their gates over the course of a year in Inverness, which is part of Scotland, and just go to the council and say, I'm homeless.
Aye.
Right?
There you go, yeah.
And you think, and then you know, Sussex, they don't, you know, but it's in a small village in Sussex, but they could have an even worse problem because they're getting 600 at a time. Will be in their place, so they could potentially go through 2,500 near enough over the course.
The whole system is a scam. Did you see, by the way, today that it was revealed that the government have a quote-unquote charity, obviously not a real charity, right? So many of these charities are given charitable status, so they get tax exemptions and all the rest of it and government grants, but they're not doing charitable work, called Migrant Help. And the government basically funds this thing to the tune of £385 million of British taxpayer money. And what it does is it exclusively helps illegal migrants get into the system so we can't get rid of them, gives them lawyer like details, all the rest of it, and goes out to schools, primary schools in some cases, and convinces them that they illegal migrants are good people and they should be welcomed into our communities. Propaganda, right? And the government are using our money to pay for this, right? To pay for this BS, right? This nonsense. And it's all done, again, to ensure that this takeover takes place, that they're importing voters. They don't want Britain to be British anymore. I mean, they look at the data. They know that very, very soon, Britain is going to become, British people are going to become a minority in our own homeland, right? These islands, we are going to be the minority, and they don't care. That, to me, is terrifying. They are psychopaths of the worst kind.
Dangerous, Bill. I remember I was reminded of a story. It was a video I meant to do months ago, but because it was no like breaking news, I thought, well, I could do that today, tomorrow, the next day, whenever, and I never get around to doing it. But it was a story in this wee village in Michigan. Now, for some bizarre reason, it must have been something to do with maybe a car plant or something, right? But back in the day, it was a predominantly Polish town. And the Poles, any that I came across, are generally hard-working people. And it was a thriving wee village, community. They call it a city, but it's not like a proper million people stay there, with its own mayor and all that stuff. And then they started getting a wee bit left and cuddly, and that was fine. And then the Muslims came, and the mad lefties that were all LGBT flags and all that campaigned to get the Muslim guy the mayor, and they did. And the whole council now is controlled by majority Muslim. Was the first thing they done? Banned the Pride March, right?
Yeah,
it's sort of like, but we helped you get here. They're like, and
time for you to go. Goodbye.
We don't need you anymore. So we don't agree with the Pride thing, and I don't agree with what Pride's became. I think what Pride was 20 years ago was a completely different thing. But that's neither here nor there. These people, kind of helped get them into the community, and they've parked them. And I don't know why, but it's the same story flashed up on my Twitter feed earlier on today, and I thought, God, that's that story. I completely forgot to do the video. And you repeat that, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. It's what's going to happen. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree, mate. I agree. We do face a complete. I think the word I'm looking for is an absence of morality, right? Like I say, I don't want to get into the whole fire and brimstone stuff, but at the end of the day, the people who run us have got no conscience whatsoever. They know about the grooming gangs. They know about girls on our street getting attacked. They know about young women being scared to go out because of what's been happening, and they don't care. They look at the statistics and they don't care. That to me is terrifying, right? And what's even worse is we have a media that is completely complicit in covering this up as best as possible and pretending like this is not going on, and they don't care about their responsibilities either. It's shocking me. It's shocking beyond belief.
No, I agree with you, and that's the end game. That's what will happen everywhere. I mean, one of my favourite clips of the weekend with all the chaos that was going on in Tower Hamlets was, I don't know what happened, but the lefty with his refugees welcome here banner turned into the Muslim guy that was masked up and no doubt tooled up, and says, "Here, mate, we're in this together. We're on the same side." And you get told straight, "No, you're not. We're not on your side." How much a hint do you need? They're just useful idiots. That's what you are. Kick door in for people that will have no time for you if they get what they want. And I spoke about it last night at length. It's one of the most disturbing things for me the weekend. Sometimes I just pick something else out that other people are wrong, and it was, and it's not a new thing, but the amount I seen over the weekend shocked the life out of me. People declaring that either we're here to take over your country or we've taken your country, right? Now, these people, I must admit, were a different skin colour for me. I'm light blue, right? They weren't light blue. And they sounded like English people. So I would imagine they were born here, right? But when you claim you're here to take over and take our country off us, you're declaring that you're no British or you don't see yourself as British. And I think that's an act of treason. It's certainly, in my book, a declaration of some sort of war.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you should be in a police cell within 10 minutes of those words coming out of your mouth. But we put up with that. And I've not heard a single condemnation of it, of anybody in the mainstream or our establishment. But it was a theme that I've seen repeated often over the weekend. And I think it is distinctly wrong. Can you imagine going to any country in the world, any country in the world, or maybe even been born in a different country, but of British heritage, and declaring openly on the capital of that country that you're here to take over, or it's not your country anymore, it's ours? What would happen to you, Basil?
Look, if we lived in normal times and, wind the clock back 40 years, politicians in this country would never stand for what's going on right now. They'd be horrified by what's going on right now. In fact, it was just recently people were talking about the anniversary of Enoch Powell's Rivers of Blood speech, and they were saying how all of his critics were wrong and he was right when it came to how many people are in this country, what the percentage of migrants would be in this country. And it was amazing to look at the most ardent opposite people who were opposite him, who were saying, that will never happen. That will never happen. What are you talking about? And sure enough, it's all happened, right? Enoch Powell actually got the numbers slightly under what they are right now. And the truth is, as much as we want to try and have a country that operates sensibly and coherently, we have to be honest about the problem. And so many of our problems lead back to migration, right? It doesn't matter whether it's housing, crime, public services, the NHS, all of it leads back, the problems that it has, back to migration. We have too many people here who take too much out of the pot, have nothing to contribute or very little to contribute. Go on.
You need to watch this for yourself. My door's going. It's Amazon. We're late with a parcel, so keep everybody entertained for a minute.
All right, no problem. But as I was saying, everything leads back to mass migration. When they say that the NHS couldn't run without migration, that's a lie. It's not true, right? The NHS would run great without migration, because while we have 20% of the NHS right now are migrants, which we can keep, by the way. We don't have to get rid of all the migrants. We can keep the ones that we want that are any good, but the vast majority of them are not helping us, right? So we need to get rid of those ones, right? It turns out that 20% of universal credit recipients are migrants. They were never born here. And if you add on top of that, the people who the migrants who are getting British citizenship, it's 34%, over a third. And you sat there going, how is this possible? Is that what benefits were set up for? I thought they were set up for people who'd fallen on hard times. People who've got kids, we don't want to see them homeless. Why are we bringing in people from the third world and then telling them we'll pay for everything instead? This is impossible to keep up. But think of the housing. Half of London housing now, social housing in London, half of social housing in London is taken up by either migrants or their families, right? That is insane to me. But again, when you think about how this country is on a course for destruction, it's not sustainable. And yet the people at the top don't care. They look at the figures and they go, I don't care. I'm a psycho crazy person who just believes in what I believe, regardless of the facts. And by the way, you'll be over the moon to know, Craig, that the new soon to be deputy prime minister, deputy leader of the Labour Party, is a Fabian. Lucy Powell, the woman who turned around and said that grooming gangs were a racist dog whistle live on Radio 4. So she didn't get demoted; she got promoted for doing that, which is insane to me. Right in the time when we've got the grooming gang inquiry falling apart before our eyes, because every single I don't know if anyone saw the Reform press conference where they brought the grooming gang survivor out, and she explained that basically no one's listening to us. They're just telling us this is what we're going to do. This is what the outcome's going to be. Shut up and get on with it and just say what we want you to. This stuff cannot go on. There is an absolute dearth of moral clarity in our society. And the reason why people like us are shouting from the rooftops is because we see it. But go and speak to people who don't watch politics, don't watch YouTube, don't watch Twitter, all the rest of it, and you will find that people are so not aware of what is going on in this country. They're out of touch with the reality of the situation. They don't know what's happening. And obviously part of that is, what happened with Reform the other day, right?
Well, my Amazon parcels arrived, Basil.
All right, okay. Is that stream stopped then? Game over?
Well, I love Amazon, right? So I've got this thing, right, which is multi-purpose, right? Because it goes on my car key, because, when I sit in my car and it always falls down the side and they struggle to get it back up. So that'll be, for my car key. And it's also got another use. If you're in your car and you have an accident, see that there? Bang, your glass comes out your window.
All right.
You see? So it's a safety.
Sorry, is this QVC?
Item.
Are you selling these products to people?
No, I'm just pointing out what where my head was on Saturday. And the other thing I got was this stuff called deep heat, right? And deep heat, it burns a bit when you put it on. You might have noticed, right? But what I thought would be dead handy is that'll fit in my pocket when I'm out and about. Mm-hmm. And it means if my knee goes, I've got one to hand all the time. Yeah. So I've got my deep heat, right? Which is handy when you're out and about if you get any muscle strains. And I've got my thing for if I'm in an accident and I need to get my car window, smashed. I put that in my hand, put my thumb in the top, and you get it done. And it helps you escape your car in emergencies. So, there we go. And I got 3 of these. I thought I only get one, but I've got 3, so they'll come in handy if I lose them. I'll maybe put one in my house keys as well. And my wee pocket-sized deep heats.
Well, don't spray that on anybody because it hurts.
No, I wouldn't dare. I wouldn't dare. But so when I'm out and about now, I'll have my thing ready if I, have a car accident, and that could be mother. I'd be dead handy. I feel dead safe when I'm out and about now and secure. That if I've got a car accident, I'll be able to get out of my car. And if my knee goes, I can get a wee. So,
fantastic.
QVC. We can have. I might put them in packets now, and we could maybe fund my travels through the selling. What we could call them, emergency kits. I don't know. I couldn't think of an appropriate name for them. But this is great because when they get in, because new cars you don't put a key in ignition, you just put them somewhere, and mine's inevitably ends up down beside the seat. So it'll not happen. And I might actually use the red one because I'm always going, where's my car keys? Whereas it would look better with that. So anyway, that's me. I feel so much better. And
so much safer.
Funnily enough, yes.
From any passing car accidents.
That's the other thing, if I was in a problem where, and I was out and about and somebody else had a car accident and I was trying to get them out of the car, then it's a handy thing to have in your pocket. You just get out the job. It's quite pointy. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that would be quite sore for the window. And, glad about that.
Well, be careful because it'll hurt. But I just noticed, by the way, Kev asked, "Does he think? Does he think that? Do I think digital ID is the biggest danger?" I think it said on his comment. It flashed by. Look, biggest danger. I mean, right now we've got loads, right? So who knows what biggest danger is? When I think of biggest danger, I immediately think of the illegal migrants and all the rest of it. The digital ID is definitely up there though, and possibly could be the biggest danger, Kev. I just, in terms of ranking them, I couldn't decide because I think the thing with digital ID is we don't actually know what all these insidious things they want to do with it. The stuff that we know about already is bad enough, but the stuff that they could do with it is just horrific. I mean, it's been leaked today. So Restore Britain, Rupert Law's thing, they found out that the government have actually been spending British taxpayer money again to set up digital ID in Georgia and Bosnia, right? Now you're thinking, why are they doing that? They've been doing it for years, apparently, right? So this goes back to the old Tory government, right? They've been doing this, right? And they've been setting it up like a dry run, like let's check it out, let's test it out, that kind of thing. And you sit there and think, well, what is this all for? Well, again, it's about control, and it's about, it's about making sure that they can control everything of our lives, but also it's about, and this is what the government has shown, it's about keeping people quiet, right? So they've already gone after people's social media accounts that complain and expose problems in society. And what they'll do is they'll just put the thumb on slightly harder and put the pressure on you so you can't get access to your money, you can't do different things. And the reason why they're doing that is because they want you to shut up. So it's people like Craig and me and others will suffer the consequences for speaking out about this stuff. But it's not just like, it's not even just political things. People like, right, AC Spartan, for example, right, guy who comes on your show all the time, great man, right, does fantastic work exposing paedophiles. But if he exposes the wrong kind of paedophile, which in the government's opinion will be the grooming gang kind, the Islamic kind, they'll no doubt crack down on him as well. And they do this to try and control people completely. Now, this sounds like crazy conspiratorial nonsense, but as I keep asking people who sit there and go, well, I don't see what the problem is, what else do they need it for? What is it going to do for us? There's nothing that has come out so far about digital ID that make you go, oh, that makes sense. Yeah, we can't do that right now. Nothing. So what is the control for? It's so they can literally keep every bit of information about you all in one place and press the off button whenever they want. So to answer your question, Kev, is it the scariest thing? Honestly, I don't know, but it could well be the scariest thing. We're yet to find out.
No, well, see, to be honest with you, Kevin and I spoke about this earlier on, and what I said to him was, I think there's a lot of stuff that's going on. You've got digital ID, you've got people that just seem intent on giving everybody in the world vaccines, you've got 15-minute cities, you've got all this stuff, right? Bar the vaccines going wrong, right? The only one that'll kill you is the levels of immigration. The only one that will hurt your kids, right, physically, is the level of immigration. The only one that could do something nasty to your nearest and dearest physically is them. With digital ID, if it comes, digital ID is already here. They're just trying to give themselves a way of using it. See, the facial recognition is already here. They just can't use it against you in a court of law because they're not allowed to. So that's all this stuff that's changing laws is just to make stuff that they've already got usable against you, right? And although all it can be unpleasant, the one that's the biggest risk to your health, i.e. still breathing, I believe, is the migrants. And you want me to prove it? How many people did digital ID kill in that town in London last night? And I'm not saying I like digital ID, quite the opposite. But when you're ranking what's important, then I think the biggest problem we've got is the level of immigration and what happens with that. So I see Stephen and Kev are hanging about down the bottom. We'll wait till Stevie's back and I'll bring it up. His pink chair is sitting empty, And you're away to do a space, Basil?
Yes, I said I would take part in a space, so I'm going to go and do that. So thank you very much for having me on, Craig. I hope everybody enjoys the rest of the show. I'll still be streaming on my X, so if anyone's watching it on there, I won't be turning it off. You can still watch it on there, and I'll catch you guys later on. Bye-bye for now.
Jerry, bye now. Thanks for coming on, bud. Right, so we've got Stephen, who's a pink chair. He's turned into a pink chair. And Kevin, who's turned into a black square. And Kevin, I thought you had... Aye, can you hear me?
Craig, I think you're on mute.
No, I'm not on mute.
Craig.
I can see. Can you see me, Stephen?
I think you're on mute, Craig.
I'm not on mute. You can see my wee bars moving. Stephen, can you hear me?
Hello.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear Kev as well.
Aye, he's obviously drinking
Yeah, he's changed.
or something. We'll try it again, right? I think you look better when it was just a pink seat.
That's better. I can hear you now. I couldn't hear you there, eh?
It was not a bad thing. We could hear
But
you.
exactly, it isn't a bad thing. But I'm not wanting to be talking there while you're talking away. You know what I mean? So best hear what
No,
you're
we
saying.
could
Stevie
hear
got
you.
his little unicorn seat out again tonight.
Aye.
It's their unicorn. Look, hold on a second.
Have you managed to do the housework first before you got allowed to play?
Yeah. What was that?
I says, have you done the housework so now you're allowed it to play?
Oh, I'm all ready to go.
Right, good man.
So, guys, talk to me. Inverness, what's going on?
Obviously we've seen that today. Straight away I reached out to the Peterhead United boys. And we've done a group call, and the protest will be taking place at Cameron Barracks on the 6th of December at 2 p.m. in Inverness. So anybody that's around, feel free to get there. The flyer's been made up. It's been posted on X. I don't know if you're able to share it on here, Craig, or no. But Stevie, Don and Alan are already on the case, and we're going to get going on the 6th of December. The PA system will be down there, and we're going to go down. Some of us will be going up and some of us will be going down. And we're just going to go and make some noise about our displeasure towards what's happening yet again in this country. But
Well,
do you know
if I've got
something?
any of these, say if I've got any of these left by the time we go, I'll take a box for Stevie, because it's probably the next time I've a chance to see him. But they're rather nice, Stevie, so I can't guarantee there'll be any left. There's 100 there, right? I've had a couple of spare packets, and that was the ones I got at the duty free shop.
Could I just,
so that's me just starting them. Sorry,
Can I just
interrupted you there.
quickly say something, mate, right, and see if you agree with me or no? Right,
As long as it's funny.
It's no funny to know. We'll get on to the funny stuff later. But are you not noticing that a kind of pattern here? They're starting to put these places up the top end of Scotland as more than they are in the Central Belt now. And I'm thinking, this is my thinking, that they're doing it because it's so far up Scotland that people will not make an effort to get up there and protest. Whereas if
I don't think it's getting to do with the protest, mate. I don't think so, to be honest with you. And I'll tell you why. When somebody tells you the truth, listen to them, right? And they told us no long after they took power that they were going to disperse people and everybody was going to be taking their fair share. They told us that.
Okay. Just a thinking.
Mm-hmm. No, I think, and that was kind of before the protest started. That was right.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, we're just going to need to keep doing what we can do, and if people are unhappy with what's happening in the country, you're going to need to take to the streets. The Peterhead United boys are out every single week. The Aberdeen boys do the same. I'm not seeing so much down here in the Central Belt, apart from one area that keeps saying it. And if we want to let people know we're not happy, we're going to need to get busy.
Yeah.
We can't just keep having. I mean, there was Glasgow, right, which is the most affected city in our country right now, right? And there's been one protest that I know of this year in that area. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Why can they not be one there one a month, or one every fortnight, or one every couple of months? If you just
if you listen
one,
to Glasgow City Council, it's because we don't have asylum hotels in Glasgow. That's what they've told us.
I know, I've seen that one.
Right.
Very good.
And then remember I had the conversation with Mary Hunter,
Mary Hunter.
and she says that we don't have any asylum seekers housed in Glasgow. Right? Well, it's better, mate, right? So today she was having a pop at somebody. Some Labour person said something that she didn't like about the current problem with housing asylum seekers. And I went, But Mary, why are you arguing with her? Because you told us that we don't have any asylum seekers in Glasgow. And then she came to me and went, are you insane? I went, no, but you told me last week that we don't have any asylum seeker hotels, and you told them that we don't house asylum seekers. Now you're arguing with somebody and saying it's Westminster's fault that we have to house these asylum seekers that you told us last week we don't have. That's what you're dealing with,
Aye.
right?
She no blocked you yet, no?
I think they're too nosy.
That seems to be the way with these SNP MSPs. When you start questioning them, the first thing is to go to the block button.
Well,
I mean, I'm absolutely ripping Stephen Flynn apart now. Eh?
He is Kevin. I'm Hannibal. Stevie can take his back. Right.
I've not seen Norrie in the night, so that's not a bad shout. That's not bad. We'll not be getting ripped apart tonight. Happy Norrie boy. After that last live, I mean, I had to take a couple of weeks after that last live, man. I was getting therapy after that one.
Look at Banana Cake. He just loves the protests. Look, my dad was for Peterhead and I'm for Falkirk. You couldn't get a more protest-ready guy in the whole of Scotland.
Aye.
If you know anybody in Inverness, Banana Cake, you get an auntie in Inverness or something, you get the trifecta come up. Now, what I was going to do, because I forgot to do this earlier, I'm going to put up on the comments the link if anybody wants to come up and tell us who may have a problem and tell us whatever the problems are. So I'll just pop that out there. Hopefully it's on YouTube and Facebook. It's not on X, but I'll just go into X, edit that, and at the end of what is the title, it'll now have that. So if any of you want to come in and join the chat, I'll have an open mic for a wee half hour or so till we get bored and fed up, or Kev gets too much of slagging and just disappears.
But
Yeah,
I never disappeared the last time. So did he start?
You get
I sat here for an hour and got absolutely ripped apart after these. And then I went on to X and people were fucking still trolling me on that platform too about the carry on that was coming out your mouth that night.
I saw somebody was trying to buy a half and half scarf. Did you get it?
Aye. I got absolutely destroyed for that, man. That was him. Calling me a proddy and everything, man, know what I mean?
Here, have you gave Craig his jumper yet?
No, I've not seen him.
I've not seen him. I don't want to see him. I don't like him.
No, I'm the same. I'll come in here just to annoy him.
Who's it hoodie from, Stevie? Is it for Peter? Is it a Peterhead hoodie or an Aberdeen against illegal migration hoodie?
Peterhead one.
I like that. I look forward to seeing it. Well, somebody else got a bit of a claim about Kev. What? Houston, we have a problem. I heard Kev was joining Aberdeen Supporters Club.
Aye, very good.
On a Honda Civic.
Oh, I'm not going again with this week, man. Know what I mean? There's a serious topic going on here now. People are starting this carry on again.
Which is what?
I mean, what
when the adults were in the room and it was me and Basil, we kind of covered it all. So now it's just like...
You're talking about the protest at Inverness.
No.
Stevie boys,
and I said, can you come on and
stand together?
Inverness. I've not done that. So...
Stevie, jump in here.
What else is it?
Well, Stevie can fill you in what's
there's the main man. Right, there's another coming into the party. So, how doing, Alex?
How you doing, Craig?
There we go. That's better.
I'm all right. Did we hit something? You lost a bit of timber. As if somebody stole your phone. So, Alex, see the news stories for the weekend and whatever. What's the one that's got your attention most?
For the weekend?
Mm-hmm.
Put me in a spot there.
Mine was the guys on taking to the streets in London and no caring at all and just declaring that either A, we've took over your country and it's yours now, or B, we're here to take over your country and we're going to do it. And I thought, you can do that in the United Kingdom and not get arrested. That really triggered me.
Yep, that would have been one of my picks. But what I need to say about it is that although that would appear quite shocking to somebody seeing that for the first time, the same rhetoric's been getting spewed by imams in mosques for years. And in areas all over the UK, you'll hear that going right back to Abu Hamza 15, 20 years ago. This has always been the narrative. It's just that particular news channels are picking it up now, and it's trending in social media. But that's absolutely, without a doubt, the plan. That is, and now it's getting done blatantly. And I'll tell you where they demonstrate it, Craig. See these massive praying sermons every day where they just take over entire streets in London and shut them down and then start praying. That is a display of we're going to do whatever we want when we want, and no one will tell us otherwise.
Yep.
That's a challenge getting set out.
Yeah, it's a show of strength, isn't it?
It's an absolute show of strength.
Mark your territory.
And that's it in a nutshell. And nobody is going to put a stop to it. They also know about the way the government tested the UK population with lockdown. They are now testing the UK government to see how much they're going to take, to see how far they can push their mantra, their way of life, their narrative, and their Sharia ideology onto the UK. So, like I said to everybody the other night in that podcast I done, I said, buckle up for the ride and make sure you're strapped in, because it's going to rapidly descend into utter insanity in the next 1 or 2 years. And in 3 or 4 years, you're not going to know what's hit you. Get used to it.
See, the thing is, Alex, I've been saying this a lot. See, when people like you say that, people really need to start listening.
Well, they will listen or they won't. I mean, nobody needs to listen to me.
No, I know what you're saying, but point I'm making is you're not the only one that's saying it too. I mean, like Scottish Veteran says the same.
Yeah, a few folk are saying it, but I absolutely mean it, and I mean it in the worst possible way. Most of the people in this country haven't got the slightest clue what's coming and how they are going to be expected, the behaviours they're going to be expected to adopt and live by. I've existed in Islamic countries. I've spent years in them. I know what they're like. And I've worked with these people very closely, and I've ate with them, and I've listened to them, and I've conversed with them, and I've seen how they handle grief, and I've seen how they handle loss, and I've seen how they handle stress, and I know what's coming. And seriously, I said 2 things: learn how to survive out with the Matrix, and learn how to defend yourself in the most brutal ways imaginable, because that will be the skill set that gets people by. And that's not me blowing. I don't need to paint a more dramatic picture, and I don't need to dress it up. Forget the United Kingdom, forget the life you once knew and lived. That is gone. The more remote areas of the UK, the more rural areas are just about to be super exploited. Craig covered it. The Grampian regions and the Highland councils are now getting ready to flood the Highlands. The Highland communities won't know what's hit them. But I went round them a year or 2 ago, and when I went round about the UK and stopped pretty much every kind of major postcode in the UK in a 10-day period, and I told people, what's going to descend upon them and what's going to happen, and it kind of get missed. It didn't really get any traction. But in places like Nairn, for instance, they're already starting to feel the pressure of what a few hundred people can do up there, because there's some serious things happening up there and up in Elgin, and they're starting to feel that. So yeah, it's going to get so much worse very quickly.
Wow. And that's the thing, Alec. I mean, even the 3 people sitting on this panel with you right now don't know. Do you know what I mean? We can only see what's in front of us and surmise what's coming. But as you rightly pointed out, is you do know what's coming, and people really need to start taking heed to that, because it's after what we've seen at the weekend, and in the what was it last 24, 48 hours, but 8 people have been killed in the UK in the streets. I mean, they're barbarians. Do you know what I mean? And while people are running about,
Yeah. Without insulting you, mate, you've not seen nothing yet.
no,
honestly.
I get that, Alec, and I'm
I'm not
taking that as
even
an
laughing.
insult.
I'm so bored repeating it. You've got no idea.
Mm-hmm.
This
And
see
that isn't
everything
an
that we're
insult,
seeing just
Alex.
now. This is nothing.
And that isn't even an insult. That's what you're saying there is absolutely bang on. We don't know. And yet people are still running about this country saying this is the biggest problem. No, it's not. These people, as Craig's pointed out last night in the space and said in here tonight as well, these people are standing on the streets and openly saying, we're here to take your country.
Well,
If that's not a
course they are.
declaration of war, what is?
Of course they're here to do that, because they absolutely despise Christianity, and they have done, for millenniums. So why would anybody remotely intelligent think or suggest that people are coming here to integrate? See this nonsense narrative about integration? That's just a buzzword, and all it is an appeasement exercise. It's a box tick. And we talk among ourselves here, and thankfully we've got some intelligent people around about us, and I get to listen to some good speakers and people that are politically articulate like Craig, that have got a good way of putting things across that the layman can still understand without using big fancy Farage type words and all the rest of it, and trying to confuse people. So we get free information from people that are clued up, and we don't need to look far for it. We're being given the opportunity to prepare with people that will tell you bluntly, like myself, that's been saying it for a good few years now. Get ready for some real darkness, and I'm offering you the invite to prepare yourself. That if you've lived your life in a bubble or a soft existence, be prepared to expose yourself to the extremes of humanity, because it could chap upon your door. And I don't say that lightly. I mean, put yourself in an uncomfortable position. Most people go through life having never experienced anything that's uncomfortable. Take yourself out your comfort zone. Go and jump in the sea. Go and feel what it's like to shock your body into a state of, where you are almost out of control. Go and test yourself. Go and run up a mountain. Go and do something physical. Go and do, if you're afraid of the dark or the lonely spaces, go and test yourself. Go and walk through a forest in the dark. Do something to test your own capacity, and start to progressively put yourself into predicaments where you're stressing your body and getting used to handling stress. I don't think there's anything extreme with that, because if you've ever been walking down the street and somebody stuck a 12-inch knife up to your throat and demanded your wallet, it's quite an unusual experience. I had it done to me, funnily enough, and being in a few countries around the world, and then getting robbed in Glasgow was I found a bit of comedy in it, because it kind of made me chuckle. It's actually, you can Google it online and you'll see my name, and you'll see the 2 scumbags that tried to rob me at knife point up at Tollcross. And I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a shocking experience. It's not enjoyable when the girl in front of you's got a 12-inch kitchen devil and the guy behind you's got 2 blades. So anyway, it ended well for me. It never ended well for 7 or 8 people in the hours prior to them getting to me. But luckily, I was in a position where I was kind of like thinking more about my own safety, so I wasn't too panicked by it. It wasn't nice. It was not enjoyable in the slightest, but afterwards I was able to find a bit of comedy in the fact I nearly got robbed in Glasgow, having survived some of the shitholes of the world. It was in the papers. They got prison sentences. Unfortunately, an hour before they robbed me, they stabbed a guy at a cash machine in Glasgow and took his money and his Christmas presents from him. They robbed a young girl as well in St Neots car park, and then I was the last person they bumped into. And yeah, it was quite nasty. So get yourselves used to something. Honestly, it sounds crazy, but maybe once a week, just take yourself out your comfort zone.
Doesn't sound crazy to me, like.
Did we lose Alec, or was it my signal?
I think we've lost Alec.
Aye.
Thing is, Dave, you kind of got to listen when they guys talk, eh? I mean, there's no much there.
Well, I'm just thinking, see, about 10 years ago, I met a guy for the first time I know quite well now, and he told me almost the exact same stuff, but get prepared, get ready, have a bug out bag at all the times, and prepare for the worst, because he was concerned. So that was the first person to talk in similar ways, and the last person was Alex, just there.
Mm-hmm.
And the odd peculiar thing is they've actually got a bit in common, because both have worked in places like Afghanistan, Iraq, places like that. And one of them 10 years ago told me almost identically what Alex is saying there. So,
Thing is, Craig, I mean, Scottish Veteran as well. Scottish Veteran says the exact same.
Mm-hmm.
And even DSL, who you know as well, said the same thing. And it's so funny that these guys have been in the same position as what Alex in, and these are the people I'm starting to listen to. Do you know what I mean? Guys like yourself who fact check things as well. People sit and say, "Oh, you need to read this, the Kalergi theory," and I'm not interested in that anymore. I'm just not buying it anymore, because I'm just going to deal with what I can physically see in front of me, and guys that are warning me. And when you got people like Alec, Scottish Veteran, your mate, you just spoke about there, and DSL, guys that have been on front lines, even Scotty G, then do you know what? They're the people I'm going to start listening to, because it's like you said before, Craig, and I've used this analogy, well, not analogy, but I've used this a few times with people. For every argument that's out there, you can find a counter argument for it. And there's three sets of truth. There's your truth, their truth, and the actual truth. And it's whatever you want to believe is going to be your truth. You've actually got to look at it and find the truth, and it's hard to find factual information now that you can actually genuinely believe. So why not just listen to the people that know better? And that's why I'm just sitting there. I share your stuff, as you know, quite a lot. I talk to Scottish Veteran a lot, and I share Alex stuff a lot, because that's the message that people need to start listening to.
Mm-hmm. No, I don't know if you heard that, Alex, but what I was saying was what you were saying about prepare and, get yourself fit, get yourself, in a battle-ready position almost. The first time I heard that was about 10 years ago, and it's a guy, the first time I met him, and I know him a lot better now. And guess what? He's got a similar background to you, and he worked in the likes of Iraq. He worked as a contractor in Baghdad. No, that's not Baghdad. What's the capital of Afghanistan? Kabul. He was in Kabul. Aye, when he was working in the private sector by this point. And I've heard a lot of people in between say it, but the last person to tell me was you, and the first person to tell me was him, and the fact that you've got a lot of commonality with your history of the places you've been and seen, it's kind of concerning that you know these people, you've been in amongst these people, you've worked with and against these people, and the two of you have said almost verbatim the same thing. So it's quite alarming. And I think we were talking about it earlier. there's a lot of problems in the world now. We've got immigration and the type of immigration that we're bound down to. We've got digital ID, we've got health issues, we've got things going on in our NHS. It's a bit weird what they want to do with people. You've got the carbon stuff, you've got net zero, you've got all this stuff that's just a big bag of shit, right? But the one that scares me the most, and that's why it gets most of my attention, is the most dangerous one in front of me, and that is the immigration and the levels. Because I've been to Dover, I've been to Cali, I've been to Lesbos, I travelled to all these places myself because I wanted to learn. And you're talking about putting yourself in, uncomfortable situations. By fuck, was I in a few of them in Cali and in Lesbos particularly. And you get yourself into a state of awareness that is kind of alien to you. But you either cope with it or you don't. And that all opened my eyes. So basically, there's lots of people talking about lots of things, and I am concerned about all of them. I'm not saying digital ID is nothing. It's a terrible thing. And what it can become is even more terrible. And you've got things going through Parliament now, the assisted dying bill, which from the first day they started debating it, they started tweeting it, and you thought, stop it. What you've presented in day zero and what is going to come out of that Parliament as law is going to have no resemblance whatsoever of anything that's good. But then, and they're all a concern. But the one that's my biggest concern is immigration. And do you know what? It's probably the easiest one to sort. And people in power don't want to sort it. And I'll tell you how I can prove that, and I can say that. For the last 28 years, every government in the United Kingdom that's been voted in a manifesto telling us that we're going to reduce immigration. Every single one of them, Tories and Labour. And not one of them has done it. In fact, the opposite's been true, apart from a wee blip when it was 2020. When
it's too profitable, Craig.
Of course it is. We've created an industry now, Alex.
Yeah, the infrastructure behind it with Mears and companies like that is gigantic. People don't understand. They're washing the money back through themselves. So the people setting the bills are the front persons for the corporations. It's all, this, it's all a merry-go-round. It's just a big money launder, and they're making fortunes.
Creating millionaires.
So there's no way they're going to stop immigration.
No, it's an industry now. You
could deploy one squadron from Hereford into the Channel. One single squadron would secure the southeast coastline like that in a matter of one day. Literally one squadron.
Yeah. Well, you could also not change the process, right? You could also not change the violence that you would need to do with, with an army getting in there. All you need to do is, instead of processing them while they're in hotels in the United Kingdom, and now you get into barracks, as we found out today, or we found out months ago, we just had it confirmed today. All you need to do is change where you process them and put them in Ascension Islands, and the boats would stop. So I had a long discussion with a guy who, ex-military, ex-diplomat, ex-MEP in the European Parliament, so a guy that kind of knows what he's talking about. And I was asking him about the law that I stumbled upon in Lesbos, where you can only claim asylum in one place, and if you're granted it, that's it. You don't get to come here. And I was asking him about, Nigel Farage's latest one is we're going to put the Navy in the Channel, and I was like, would that work? And he went, well, what people use is they use the example of Australia. But what you had in Australia was ocean-going boats carrying hundreds of people that you could go beside with an Royal Navy boat and go into the boat and do what you need to do and get, then I think they just basically towed them out into the middle of the ocean again and dropped them off. Whereas you would need to deal with slightly different. You would do what we're doing now, and that's send some smaller boats and dinghies out and just transfer them on. And unless to try and push them back, you would end up, all it takes is one boat to capsize, one person to die, and that whole thing's put in the bin. Whereas all you need to do is start processing people in Ascension Islands. The boats would stop, because instead of coming in to put up in a 5-star hotel and getting all your meals and all that paid, you're getting sent on an aeroplane to go to Ascension Islands. It would only need to take a plane or two. And then you've got, well, Germany looks better than that, or France looks better than that, and you've put something in place that people just wouldn't put up with. But they don't want to do it. It
No,
isn't
they
that
don't.
easy. It is not different. There's 100 ways, your idea put a squadron in, my idea put them Ascension Islands. There could be 100 ideas that would all work.
But
Yet they implement
why
none of them.
anybody would think that the government's actually trying to stop the boats, it's laughable. I mean, the British military, right, even though it's been downsized, our army regiments, right, look at the battle honours. You're going back 500-600 years, global honours, right? They're feared. Our navy, the best maritime operators in existence.
Right.
Our Air Force, just take a little bit of each. You set up a couple of batteries down in Lyddon Hythe, right, with a big fucking howitzers, a battery regiment down there. You just, as a show of force, just sit them on that beach. There's nobody going to launch and challenge that level of force. Nobody. All they would need to do is see it. You'd only need to share it on social media. The reason that they don't use the show of force and that they won't deploy the maritime operators, the Royal Marines, the Navy, anybody else, is because then it would stop. It would stop overnight. And they would lose their monetisation and their merry-go-round, and their money launder would come to an end. The lads that are down at Poole, at Royal Marines Poole, where the boat squadron are based, are scratching their heads as to why they're not being deployed. They know the answer. They know the answer. All the intelligence services know the answer. The guys down in Whitehall that sit round the big table, they know the answer. It's because it would bring the merry-go-round to an end. Do you think that information doesn't filter out in groups? I'm still in touch with guys that are still operators. They're still in, and they're like, "You wouldn't believe, we're begging for the green light to bring an end to this, and there's not even been a no group about it. It's not even a discussion."
Wow.
Why would you not be discussing the illegal landing of criminal vessels onto your shores with your forward operators, your intelligence services, and your elite response units at Whitehall? Those conversations have not even been had. That's how you know it's a merry-go-round. That's how you know it's a money launder. That's how you know the government are fully backing it. And all these companies like Mears that are making hundreds of millions a quarter are neck deep in it. And they're not going to bring it to an end. The boat squadron down at Poole could, we just a couple of boats in the water, right, literally bring an end to it in a matter of days. That's how good they are. That's how good they are at what they do. You would get a couple of more overt army units along the more rural areas that's getting used up in Kent, the North Kent coast, Lyddon Hythe, up around Lowestoft, and you would deploy them up there. They can do all the reconnaissance. That's their bread and butter. Get them out.
Alex, see this thing.
Bring it to an end in days. It would cease overnight.
You put a deterrent, people don't come. But see this thing, this other story for, today, that the SAS have been deployed to protect our Remembrance Day.
Huh.
I mean, I think they done the same last year, but they didn't make as big a song and dance about it. But they're publicly getting told now by MI5 that that's in place. That tells me that the risk is probably quite high for them to go public with that, because one of the best things about these guys is they're covert operators. But
yeah, but they won't deploy Hereford ranks onto the street publicly to stand in guard a cenotaph. That won't happen.
No, they've said they'll be undercover.
Yeah, they would need to be undercover because they won't put them out in the street with all the facial stuff and every day with a phone in their hand. These guys have got families, do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
No. So, I mean, speaking to a guy that's currently down there, it's the first he's heard of it.
Is that right?
Aye, but he's up north now because I was meant to be
Right.
with him this week, but just through other things I'm not on it. But I was meant to be with him this week, but he just kind of chuckled when it was mentioned in the group chat.
Mhm.
I would take a lot of that with a pinch of salt. Bearing in mind, right? Let me put it another way. If you're deploying any service onto the UK streets to guard something, right? They've got absolutely no power. No power of arrest, no power of anything. They've got the same power as you and I.
Okay.
Right? For a start, any Hereford rank's not going to be in uniform. He's going to be in civilians.
Mhm.
So he carries no power.
Because you need to be uniformed to have any power as a soldier. Then is that what you're saying?
Yep, and it would need to be operating at the direction of a senior police officer.
Mhm.
That's how it works. It wouldn't work any other way.
Unless they're maybe in an advisory role with the terror squad.
Yeah, I'd need to look more into it, but I don't think. I mean, it would be news to me if they used them to guard a Remembrance Day. There is always people, by the way, at Remembrance Day. There is always a number of people. I've been at Remembrance Day. I've been, 6 feet away for the Queen and Tony Blair, and I know who's round about me. And there are people there that are carrying, covertly carrying sidearms, and they're SF guys, but they're there to look after specific people.
Mhm.
Blair, the Queen, a few others.
Force protection.
Aye, and they satellite them. But if you watch a cenotaph parade, when they come out, I was second in front right, 99. That would have been second in front right, and the Queen and Blair, they walk. It was right then, right there, and you'll see a couple of guys shuffling that are not uniformed, and you'll know exactly who they are. But you need to just look for them.
Stand out. Mhm.
Aye, and no, they're not going to be. That would be mayhem, by the way, if they started to try and do things like that. Cancel these Remembrance Days and stuff. They are almost poking the bear with a stick. It's like they're trying to get a reaction out of veterans and out of people, people that gave 10, 15-year service, 20-year service, and now they want to just repeatedly kick them in the teeth. Veterans are going to end up really, really up in the ante here. It will be veterans that bear arms before anybody. And it might not be arms, it might be baseball bats, it might be golf clubs, but it's going to come to that.
Well, to be fair, if you've been trained in skills that nobody else has, then it's more it's natural. It's unnatural, but you know what I'm saying. It's easier for you to do. It's easier for you to see identify risk than a normal Joe Bloggs in the street. So I've always thought that, and I've always thought, how many people have we got, ex-armed forces, that have had even basic training and a few years service? They've got to be better equipped if it did go wrong than the majority of.
Well, at what point does your choice get removed from you, right? So, hear me out. So, they keep pressing us into a position, right? So, if I watch England being destroyed by radical Islam and I see it creeping to the northeast and I see it encroaching in the border city, Carlisle, and I see it crossing, and I see it coming up. I know it's coming, right? So if I see my town or my postcode or my street, if I look out the window one day and there's 13 guys walking around the corner, blacked out, kicking doors in and, you know, taking over, my choice has been removed from me.
Mhm.
I no longer have a choice. I know exactly what I've got to do.
Mhm.
I've only got an hour left of my existence as I know it. So either completely negate that threat to my existence, or I become it and I just accept it and roll over and do what I'm told. So nationally, our choice has been taken away from us because no one with the power is actually putting a stop to this. They're actually enforcing it upon us by inviting, you know, Taliban and notable jihadists and all sorts of prescribed terrorists into the UK. They're funneling them in. They know exactly who they are when they land here.
Mhm.
So because it's an open invite and because it's not getting dealt with the way it should, the choice has already been removed from us. Now, I always think in the absolute extremes of any scenario. Even just going for a coffee, I've already thought about the most extreme thing that can happen going for a coffee,
Mhm.
which is somebody drives a bus through the window or walks in and lets off a canister. You know, that's how my brain works.
Yeah.
And it's no ideal, but that's just the way my brain's tuned. I'm looking
Mhm.
for exits. I'm looking for access, egress. Who's he? Why are they sitting there? Well, you know, I'm not sitting with my back to the door. You can sit there. That table's not suitable. I'll just leave and go to the next place because that's how I think. And it's a pain in the arse for anybody that's with me, but it's just instinctive to me.
Mhm.
So when I think in the extremes, I do believe there's going to come a time where the choice is going to be completely removed and you're either going to present yourself in the most vicious manner that you can, or it's over. I think that day will come in the UK. I do. I genuinely believe it. And it might not happen so abruptly as gangs of people landing in postcodes and, you know, basically taking people's houses off them. But it will be along those lines where even moderately capable men will be deeply troubled and paranoid about walking through certain cities and towns and going for a pint, and their behaviours will just change to the point where people no longer go out socialising and they stay in the house where they believe themselves to be safe. That's no far away.
And see just on that point there, what you said there, I think some of us are already at that point. I mean, even when we turn up to the protests, for instance, I mean, like when we were in Glasgow, and I pointed it to you when we're standing there about two guys that were standing there, and I said they just look out of place, and I shouldn't
Yeah.
be I shouldn't be thinking like that
No, I
because
know,
these
but you were
people
right.
should be there. But I had that conversation with
Yep.
you,
Yep.
and,
Yeah,
and,
you were
that-
spot on.
and it makes me hyper vigilant now when I'm at these things. Know what I mean?
I can tell you this categorically, right? I can't name him, but a member of my family lives with somebody who is in the Met in a pretty serious role in the Met. It's a counter-terrorism role. There are areas in Greater London that the police, the capable police, will not even drive into. They won't take vehicles in there in case they get boxed in, and they will not send officers on foot into these postcodes. They just don't go into them, like the Barnfield projects, places like that. They will not go in there. It's only riot equipped, like seriously heavily armed horseback officers, things like that. They just will not take vehicles in anything where officers could be trapped, because such is the lawlessness. I mean, nobody, that no even trivial street gangs down there, they just don't fear the police. They don't give a shit. They'll pull an officer out of a car and stamp their head into the pavement in broad daylight. They are literally, they do not care. They're a different breed of criminal. I'm talking about 15-year-olds. They'll just stomp the police. They'll stab them. They'll bat them. They just don't care. They've got no fear of arrest, no fear of the penal system, because it's all about street reputation and street cred. So kicking an officer's teeth in, which is disgusting, you know, getting a 20-year sentence for butchering some young guy, that gives them huge status in their tiny minds. So the fear of law and order no longer holds any weight, none at all. I would love to live in a country where we feared the police. Not in a brutal, corrupt way, but that we had respect for them and we'd like, listen, don't piss around with the police in our country, or they'll, you know, I would have no problem living like that, because then there would be some order.
I mean,
But
we had that back in the 80s and 90s, though,
yeah,
didn't we, Alex?
we did, but we definitely don't now. And officers now hold no weight, because the bar is set so low for police that you're sometimes looking at some young guy at 17, 18, you know, he's about 9 stone wet through, and there's no fear. There's no, they hold no aura about them. And that's problematic in itself. But worse than anything, the ideology that I'm talking about, these people despise our very existence, and they see this country as a very rich, potentially very rewarding place that they can colonise and control and eventually capitalise completely and take the complete and utter control of it. Only when that's achieved will they be happy and will the terror stop. But in my lifetime we will see that.
Wow.
That's a fact.
Well,
And
you know what, Alex, if people
I'll be
didn't like
happy to be
that-
wrong, but I'm just not going to be wrong on that, because I've spoke to guys, right, and even jokingly, I've heard them saying it. I walked into Bury Park Mosque in Luton myself a couple of years ago. Fucking 500 men in there praying, and a guy said to me, I said, he recognised me, spoke to me. I says, I'm going in there to talk to them, and he went, have you got a fucking death wish? And I went, no. And he went, you can't go in there. And I did go in, right, and the imam, they did speak to me. They weren't happy that I went in, and I got a lot of daggers and a lot of really bad looks, and they wouldn't let me phone. So I filmed myself walking in, I filmed myself leaving. I took a couple of sneaky stills from inside there just to prove I was in it. But they wouldn't let me film, wouldn't talk in camera, checked me for any hidden cameras, and I had a discussion with them. And then they told me, like, you're the only like non-Muslim guy that's ever come in here. So
Shout out the boy there, John Muirhead. That's a old pal of mine. I've not spoke to him once. Used to speak to him probably most weeks, but since the cops took my phone off me and I've got this burner phone for a temporary, I've not spoke to him. So John, do me a favour, if you're on Twitter, going to send me a DM and I'll get you this number. He's a big burly boy, big red. So good to see you there, mate. Sorry, Alex.
That's all right. It was just to talk to the congregation about the online risks for their kids and their communities, and they never took kindly to me being there at all.
There you go.
So
I'll tell you what, Alex, I mean, that's the last half hour listening to you's interesting. A lot of the stuff that you've been saying there is stuff I've been thinking about and what I've been seeing in front of me. And you know what? This is what I like about people like yourself and Craig. You're just not scared to say it out loud. There's too many people, or don't want to say these things out too loud, you know what I mean? Because the people think, oh, it's conspiracy. This isn't a conspiracy. What you've just put out there's facts. It's just like what Craig does. So I've enjoyed sitting listening to that anyway, that's for sure. Certainly
See,
opened my eyes.
see another thing to remember. See this term about moderate Muslims and moderate Islam and this moderate terminology, right? Forget that. You only need a very, very tiny amount of extremists in a population, right? And every single other Muslim will follow suit and do what they're told, because they live in absolute fear of the reprisal, of, of that ideology. So you only need a tiny amount of extremists to condition the entire population, and they will follow them and they will follow suit because they know what will come if they don't. Now, nobody might want to admit that, but that is the case. Their fear of Allah is like nothing you can ever imagine. We don't understand what it is to be devout. We don't. I've heard people say, I'm a devout Christian, I'm a devout Catholic. They don't know what devout means until you live with them and you see how they handle the death of a child, or they see how they handle something else that's a bit more brutal.
So how do they handle this? What is the difference, Alec?
I need to be careful how I say this. Let me think. So I had, say, 25, 30 boys worked for me in Iraq. And in the morning they would come in and I would go and I'd have tea. I'd sit down in the ground with them. We'd have a team talk. We'd have tea. And they'd bring a little offering in, which would be some food, some bread, and we'd share a bit of bread. And maybe one of their heads would be down, and it would be up to me to notice, right? But they would do little things so that you would notice. They wanted you to notice without saying it. And I'm very observant, and I would notice and I'd say, Syed, what's up with Motez today? And he'd say, Motez baby died last night. And I'd say, okay, bring him to me. And we'd go a walk and we'd talk. And maybe Motez's wife had given birth the night before and the baby dies, right? Happens very, very regularly out there because there's no real medical backing and it's just quite brutal the way things are done. So you would be required to be watching all the time for things like that. And maybe the wife would have a fever, an infection, so I would go and get money and I'd say, take this money home, get a doctor. And the doctor would also be the local vet. So he would kind of do a lot of things, and he might even be a shoemaker or something like that, right? He'd be multi-skilled, and it would be like $50, and she would get penicillin, something like that. But I paid out many, many times over for people's partners, so which was never a problem, never grudged. So once you, this is the point I'm trying to make. So once you acknowledged and you noticed it, and we got to the bottom of why Motez's head was down, and then I went back to my room at camp and stuck $50 in his pocket. Come 10 o'clock in the morning, he would be smiling and working and there would be no drama. After lunchtime, it would be like it never happened.
Is that right?
And the next day, it was done and dusted. They don't mourn death.
Wow.
They don't mourn the loss of a baby. One of our lads gets squished under the bus one day, and they were all just staring and talking, and then they just get back on the bus. Moved. They get back on the bus. None of them offered to scrape him up and bag him up. We had to do it, and they just sat and watched us out the window, and nobody even mentioned them. They don't. It doesn't affect them. They've got no fear of dying. Until you've been around people that have got no fear of death, you will only then you would understand me saying, how do you defeat somebody that's got no fear of dying? If you're a soldier and you've served and people fire, you've got incoming rounds coming in at you, you're shitting bricks. If somebody tells you they're no scared of getting shot at, they're either a psychopath or they're, you know, completely lying. It's no nice to have somebody trying to kill you or be out on a patrol and potentially step in a landmine or anything like that. So these people have got no fear like that. They invite that. That is really like martyrdom to them is like the ultimate goal.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't beat them psychologically. You cannot beat that person psychologically. They don't give a shit about dying. And I've seen how they handle death, and they don't mourn death. They don't mourn. It's you need to see this. You need to witness this to understand how extreme it is. It's crazy until you've seen it. It never leaves you, and that's why I know that we are both incompatible as one culture living under the same roof. We are completely incompatible. It does not work.
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, these people believe that this life's their staging post, and how good a person they are. I'm not want to say the religion out loud, but they believe that this how good they are in this world, they'll get rewarded in the next. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, maybe what we need to do in the UK is let them perform a few stonings in the centre of London and then see how people take to that and see if the general public enjoy that spectacle. Seeing a
Aye.
woman buried up to her breasts, getting her head bashed in and getting slabs dropped in her skull until her brains are splattered all over the pavement. Let's see how people enjoy consuming that spectacle and then see if they still want to be governed by it.
And see that there, right? People would see what you've just said there. People will go like that. Oh, you can't be saying things like that. But that's what needs to be said. People need to hear these things.
Well, I've
Do you
seen
know
a
what I mean?
stoning. I've seen a woman whipped to death, and when you're told that you're not allowed to intervene, it's very, very difficult not intervening. When you can intervene as a Westerner, you're armed. They're only 50 metres away in a town square, and you've got to look the other way and drive on. And you're not allowed to get involved because they'd literally behead you if you tried to put a stop to it. But they'll birch them to death. They'll flail them to death, and in the town square, all the kids will be at the front. And then they'll get the kids to do the last finishings, you know, drop a big brick on their skull or something, and they'll play football with a woman's brain for 10 minutes.
What would a woman have done to cause that type of?
Went out the house without being completely covered, maybe showed a forearm at a market stall and somebody's reported her, maybe showed a bit of her ankle, something like that. Maybe made eye contact with a married man, or a married man said that she's made eye contact. More likely what happens is a married man would grope a woman that wasn't his wife. He's maybe raped her and he wants to cover his tracks. So he'll just go and say to one of the local judiciary, she made eye contact with me, and without any investigation at all, she'll just be dragged, tied to a post and have her head caved in.
Frightening.
That's it in a nutshell.
Can I get a question to both yourself and Craig on this, right? Now, obviously, this is getting done on Craig's Live, and there'll be an audience that's watching this. But would it not be worthwhile you doing a podcast on this, and then we can share it out to the wider public? Because these things here that you're saying, people need to hear these because they're cold hard facts. It's no lies. You're no holding back. You're no fabricating anything. You're telling people what's coming down the line, and people need to be aware of that because too many people are just blinkered and they're just no interested.
As much as I admire your passion, mate, and your commitment to this, I also need to say to you, it won't change a single thing if people know about it. Because unfortunately, in order to get a reaction out of the majority of British citizens, you would have to physically walk up and stick a knife in their chin for somebody to actually wake up and react.
And do you know, son, son, you
People
said
have
there
been
the
conditioned and softened up, mate. They're going to roll over on this and they're going to take it. I won't take it. The Stephen Rennies won't take it, right? The Ryan Aitchisons won't take it. But the majority will take it, sadly. And I might not be popular saying that about people, but sadly, most people will just go with the flow and they'll just accept it. They will. They will accept it. I'm too reckless to accept it. I would rather go out in my shield. I would rather just fall down dead. You know, I would just rather that. That's just the way it's going to be for me.
Mhm.
I've got no problem with that. I'm at peace with whatever way I check out. But it'll be on my terms. It won't be, it won't be anybody else's decision, or I'll not be getting governed by some radical lunatic, because I can't exist under that banner.
I hear you.
And I would be prepared to go all the way for the people I care about.
I mean, I've been saying this recently in Spaces. It's been annoying me, and I'm going to say this out loud today. Obviously, I share a lot of your content, right? And it pisses me off how little traction some of your stuff gets when it should be getting here. Do you know what I mean? Because people need to, not just your work with the child grooming stuff, the way you're not scared to expose anything,
We'll
and
never
even
get
here
traction,
tonight,
mate.
this frank conversation.
We'll not get the traction. That name anybody Scottish with a big social media following. There really isn't anybody. You've got to be one of the English boys, one of the London boys. You've got to be one of the in crowd
Well,
to get
Craig
the
said
numbers
that
and the
before.
traction. That's just the way it is. I don't have a problem with that. It's just that they've got a bigger audience. Maybe they're better speakers than me. I don't know. Maybe what I say is not that interesting to a lot of people. Maybe it's only interesting to some people. I'm not offended by that. You know, Craig's got 5-6 times more followers than me on X. He's got way more followers than me on YouTube. I've been in Facebook longer than Craig, so I've got more than him because he doesn't bother with Facebook. It swings and roundabouts. I don't get offended if people don't want to listen to what I say. But if what I say can help one person maybe get on a bit better in life or prepare for, something that's incoming, well then I think it was worthwhile saying it. Or if they enjoy what I say, like you do, well then it was also worthwhile because it's fulfilling for you, or so it swings and roundabouts. The English boys are always going to get more traction than us. These guys with hundreds of thousands of followers, that's incredible numbers. It's very difficult to get any traction on X. You've got to post 6, 7, 8 times a day. You've got to do it 7 days a week. You've got to tick all the boxes. I don't really get it. Craig explained it to me, recently, and a lot of it goes over my head. I just say what I've got to say, and then that's it. But we can only try, mate. But I just know that it's going to get so dark so quickly, and I'm also aware, by the way, that I might be a really morbid, boring person, and people don't want to listen to that too much because too much of me is probably not good. I completely accept that, and I understand it.
Well, I can tell you for me, you're no morbid or boring.
I just know that what I say is exactly what's going to happen. I know it. I've felt it for years. I feel it in my soul that this is what's going to happen. And no one will convince me any different because there is no one in power that is not on the payroll. So they're not going to do anything to prevent it because this is where the money is. Chaos, corruption, evil, tragedy, terror is where the money is. That is where the bread's getting buttered. That's where the billions of pounds are. A nice, calm, residual country, a nice, lovely way of life with everybody making money and everybody happy. That doesn't generate money for corporations. Terror generates money. Fear generates money.
What's your Twitter handle, Alex? Somebody was looking to reach out to you.
AC Spartan, innit?
Aye, at AC Spartan.
AC
I
Sorry,
don't have
Spartan.
the heart because I
protection.
tag him in everything.
One at the end of it, though, is it?
Casuals.
AC Spartan 1, is it now?
I'm not sure. I can't remember.
If you just go into Twitter and put an AC Spartan, it will come up.
Well, I tell you what, man, I like your eyes get to open people's eyes, man. I'm like you. There's no way I'm going to fucking live under Sharia law. They can bite my banger on that one. So I'd rather die on my fucking feet than live on my knees. It's as simple as that. And I'm no bound down to this, man. Know what I mean? And I know people say protests don't work, petitions don't work. Do you know what? That's fine. That's your opinion. I'm still going to keep going out there and trying to do something. Because this country, and the one that's really annoyed me this week is this Remembrance Day. I cannot believe that last year that were now health and safety concerns, fuck off. These people, and even people like yourself, and many others like Ryan H., like Dudley, like DSL, like Scottish Veteran, Steve Gardner, all these people that have been on front lines. Do you know what I mean? Remembrance Day is
They needed the Remembrance Day for the last 15, 20 years, right, to generate a visual aspect on the news channels, right? All of these politicians with their poppies, right, all looking all sombre, all caring, all, you know, oh, these men died for us, right? A bunch of wankers, they don't care. None of them ever served, they don't care, right? Zero contribution. Now they no longer need Remembrance Day. Remembrance Day costs a lot of money to set up. They no longer need it. It's no longer required. There's other ways now to virtue signal on the public domain across news channels. They can come on now and virtue signal about grooming gangs and all these poor victims and all these poor girls, and we have to do something so that this never happens again. So the grooming gangs is the new Remembrance Day, right? Trust me, they don't give a fuck. I don't like swearing in lives, but they don't give a single fuck about any fucking person that died in any conflict. These people are soulless, heartless parasites. They are not human beings as we know them. They're cut from a different cloth. Get over it. They don't care. It's all virtue signalling, right? All this bullshit about the grooming gangs, they're all interested. They were only interested when Elon Musk blew it up. People like Tommy Robinson have been shouting for it for nearly 17 years and getting called racist thugs. No one else, no news channel had any interest in rape gang victims. No politician had any interest in it. Nobody had any interest in it. Now, it's fine that Nigel Farage has done a few lives recently and really got on board with it and brought, but it's also to pull the vote in. Let's not be fooled. Yes, he probably is concerned about these young girls. You know, he's probably not the worst guy in the world. He's probably got a half a heart. He's probably a morally all right guy in some sense. But I'm not duped by a minute that he's not also lying in his own nest and he's got his own route to market all laid out ahead of him. Nobody's going to fool me that way. I'm not going to be hoodwinked by these people.
You see Stephen Flint, Alec, I mean, he made a big song and dance about Eddie, right? Andrew, right? Let's get it right. He's right to do so. But he's never mentioned one about the 10 lassies that were raped up in Dundee. He's never once mentioned about the MSPs that voted no to the grooming gang inquiry in Scotland. But he's quite quick to jump on that one.
You'll see how much they care, right, when it comes to addressing the compensation that confirmed victims of grooming gangs have to get. Then you'll see how much the government care. Let's get to that.
Well,
right, I need to go. I've got a couple of people to sting tomorrow. I need to go and get prepped.
Good luck, buddy.
Cheers, Alec.
I've not get back to you about that potential trip for the simple reason I get hit with a an estimate for the car problem, and the part is £1,022 plus VAT. I'm £1,200 in before it's fitted. It's going to be a couple of years to fit it. So let me get my come back first before I spend any more money.
Is that for the BM?
Mm-hmm. Suspension
Let me
problem.
speak
suspension.
to somebody that might be able to do something for you.
I'm committed, mate, to be fair.
Oh,
That's
right,
all
okay.
I've done, unfortunately. Appreciate that, though.
Right, okay.
But,
Right, I'm ready to go. I'll talk to you
right,
tomorrow.
good chat, mate.
Cheers, Alex.
Oh, by the way,
Cheers,
Alex,
mate.
see before you
Cheers,
go.
Stevie.
See before you go.
Aye.
I don't see you before the week's out. That's getting smashed in that one there. I'm putting that right into that wall. All right.
Night, guys.
Take care.
Stay safe.
Bye.
Bye.
See you later.
Cheers, big man.
Right.
Oh.
Where do we go
Well, that
now?
was interesting.
Brilliant. Alex, some
Aye.
speaker.
Aye. You kind of got to sit up and take notice when he talks.
Of course you have.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
Everybody
mean?
should.
I mean, I do like listening to Alex, not just because of the work he does, but you just know that man lives with some amount of stories, man. Do you know what I mean? Or some amount of memories.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, as much as you've got to respect that guy, I wouldn't want to be him.
Mm-hmm. Aye, you have a lot of memories that you wishes you didn't have.
Aye, that's what I mean. Aye. I mean, that was quite.
A lot of things that...
See that kind of conversation there, Craig. It's like yourself, right? You're quite what you're willing to put the difficult conversations in front of people. You're willing to put that out there, and people have to start listening to the difficult things. Because if you're not prepared to listen to difficult things, and you just want to bury your head in the sand and think that everything's going to work itself out, it's no.
Mm-hmm.
People like yourself, people like Alec, right? And I use two as references because you are the guys that interact with a lot more than anybody else. People just need to start listening. You're giving them the information, you're putting it on a plate for them. Stop burying your heads in the stand and thinking we're getting out of this. We need to find a way out of it, and we need to find a way out of it quickly. But as Alex said there, it doesn't look like it'll be happening anytime soon, so you need to buckle up.
Mm-hmm. Aye. I think if it comes to it, there'll be a lot of people shocked and stunned if it lands on top of them. But if it does happen, how many people have warned you about it?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? And that's the kind of thing. And I was talking to, who was I talking to about this earlier on? I said, you're on YouTube, and you're in the chat on YouTube, or you're on Twitter, or you're in a space on Twitter, you're surrounded with people who have got awareness about them. They kind of get it, right? But that's the minority. The vast majority of people go to their work 5-6 days a week, pay their bloody bills that are increasing every month, just hope and keep their fingers crossed they'll get enough money in the summer to take a fortnight in Benidorm or Mallorca or wherever. Right? That's kind of the vast majority of people. And they don't know half the stuff. And the comment I made was, do you actually know sometimes wish you were that person? Because folk like myself, you, Alex, Stevie, that are involved in all this stuff, we do have more knowledge than probably the vast majority of people, and we're not the most knowledgeable in the room. But sometimes I wish I didn't know.
Aye.
I wish I was still just going, you know what? Hope I can get a bonus this quarter or this month or whatever. And do you know what I mean? All you were interested in was your pint, your fags, your football, and your holiday. That's the majority of people, mate.
I mean, I was saying this to Stevie today. I mean, see a few years down the line, the Peterhead United boys are going to be remembered. And they're going to be remembered because they guys just do not stop. As soon as I seen that thing with Inverness thing today, I text Stevie and Mr. Buckfast. I know you're not too keen on that name, but that's unfortunately what he calls himself, right? But straight into touch with the two of them all over it within minutes. Do you know what I mean? Flyers put together. Stevie's got to be in touch with his guy with the PA system. They've spoke to Alan. They're making up a video for it, and it's now been shared all over social media, and not just on this, but on X, but it's been all over the place now. And I've had people from Inverness DMing me and saying, "Oh, thanks," and I'm like, "It's not to do with me, by the way. It's the Peterhead United boys you need to thank. Here's their handles. Follow them." Do you know what I mean? Because these guys up that top end of the neck, up that neck of the woods, is they put out there as Peterhead United on tour, because they just go wherever they need to be, and God bless them for being like that. I mean, they started the ball rolling in August when we all rolled into Peterhead for that rally. We got to witness some good speakers like yourself, Craig. You know what I mean? And the ball got rolling for these guys to the top end of Scotland, a wee fishing village. And let's not underestimate what these guys do, because they do some work, they do some grafting. So fair play to Stephen Rennie and his team.
Well, we wouldn't have even known about Inverness until Sab gave us a shout and I think ourselves. So we're more than happy to work with you again in this. Definitely.
So we've got that scene.
Look at yourself, Craig, with Glasgow. I got dropped on at you in the last minute, but you still done the job. You still done the job. What a crowd was built. But it needs more of that in Glasgow. Do you know what I mean? Glasgow people need to start doing this more and more often, and they can't keep relying on people like yourself. There's got to be other people in Glasgow that are more than capable of getting in touch with the council, telling them where they want to do the protest, liaising with the police, and getting it in there. Do you know what I keep saying to people? Don't do marches. Take the Section 12 out of it. Just do static protests. Do you know what I mean? And then that way, they've not got much room to kind of deny you the opportunity to have that protest. Because if you go there saying, "I want to march down Sucky Hall Street," etc., then they've got the opportunities to rattle that Section 12 on you and postpone it, or prevent you from doing it. But if you just stick to a static protest in Glasgow Green, Buchanan Gallery Steps, wherever you want to put it, do you know what I mean? Then they're really going to find it hard to say no if they've got no excuses there's an event there. If there's no events on, then there's the opportunity to run them. So if you want to make some noise in Glasgow, because there was a couple of people when I put the flyer out about the Inverness one, a couple of people from Glasgow saying, "I know you're starting to see how Glasgow feels." Well, we're being well aware of what Glasgow feels. But I can't roll into Glasgow myself and stand and protest on the streets myself. You organise a protest, I'll be there. I'll stand and support you. That's what they've got to start doing. I've gave up in Edinburgh. Edinburgh's just too woke.
The first one I was at, the only time I've spoken to Edinburgh, excuse me, was at the day the 1st of April last year when the hate crime bill became a thing. And it was a decent crowd. So, Edinburgh can get a crowd. It's just what the topic is. And potentially what the date is, because obviously there was a midday thing on that last time there was one in Edinburgh, and maybe that puts some people off because they don't like confrontation. I understand that. I quite like when there's a gallery there of crackpots talking nonsense. You've seen it. I quite enjoy having some banter with them. Apart from that time I've done it in Peterhead. Stevie got the copper. That was funny.
That was
do you know what I mean? I don't really
mate, I must say that day, it was that crackpot that come up and took your offer up to stand on the stage, and she was doing brilliantly right to the very end. I thought, oh, here we go. Out come the lunacy.
Mm-hmm.
It was brilliant. But it was even the same down in Manchester. He turned around and addressed all the loony left in that day too, man. You just like addressing the loony left. Do you know what I mean?
No, it's nice of them to come and listen to your speech, you know. That Saturday morning the same as everybody else. And I thought I'd better say thanks to these people that have come out to, listen to what we've got to say. They must be interested. They just didn't want to stand on the same side of the protest. And I find that bizarre. Manchester, the sole theme of Manchester was protecting children. Made people out there protesting against that. I wish I'd known at the time, because I seen a banner from a trade union and I thought, I think that's a teachers' union. And it wasn't until after I spoke, and I think I Googled it, and it was a teachers' union. So there was a protest about protecting children in this English teachers' union.
That's right, aye.
Counter-protesting against that. You think, what sort of world are we in? This is just bonkers. Do you know what I mean? And
Aye.
that is pretty mad and stuff like that.
I didn't get when I went up to Aberdeen when Stevie done the anti-SNP rally up there. I had, obviously, you had to give me a speech to read out on your behalf, because obviously John Swinney had the audacity to put that on when you were away on holiday. Do you know what I mean? And I had it in my head to start off to address the gun platoon, and there was nothing there.
The gun platoon were in the building.
I gave Stephen Flynn a wave. You know what I mean? But I mean, I was gutted that I never got to start off with let me address the gun platoon like you usually do. But there you go.
Oh, there you go. There's your pal having a pot. Yeah, it's obviously aimed at you, because I've not changed.
And just after we're sitting praising him
as well.
What, sorry?
Mr. Buckfast's in the comments. He replied to Kev a wee minute ago saying that he's changed his name.
Kev just threw me under a bus saying I didn't like his name. But I don't mind. You can go whatever name they want. But see, when you see it in a poster, I've taken me a chortle. I thought, that's nuts, son. Anyway.
It's Stephen Mitchell in the comments.
And the thing is, the Scottish veterans picked that up there just after we're sitting singing his praises to.
Oh, he's a bad man.
He is a bad man now.
He's a very naughty boy.
But did you not notice as well, though, obviously when we were up in Aberdeen, he made sure his camera shot was his rear end as he was marching away with his kilt on. Some swagger on him, I'm telling you.
Do you know, I get sent a photograph with a kilt, somebody for the back, and I thought it was Alex. Then I saw Alex talking and he had trousers on, and I thought, why did he change?
That photo's gone in a video for the Inverness protest. I've got it saved, ready to go.
But you got him in that one with his kilt on, walking away with his rear end.
The Catwalk King.
The Catwalk King, man. He's trying to get Rear of the Year. You'll be on the phone after this. You're a bunch of wankers, man, know what I mean?
What's that Stephen's got? What's it you're drinking, Stephen? Hold on, hold that there, hold that thought, right, I'm going to do this. What the hell is that? Rubicon Raw Energy. It's 10 o'clock at night, you half-wit. Why would you do that to yourself at 10? You'll be running in the block at 2 in the morning.
I've been up since 5:30 this morning.
Okay. Maybe why you go to bed then. Try that. That's an awful idea. See, before I was diagnosed as diabetic, right? Oh, I didn't like Red Bull. I used to call it cheap Bull. See the sort of ones you get are like a quarter of the price. I actually preferred them. And I couldn't go buy a corner shop or a petrol station without throwing them in my pocket. And I didn't think it was doing anything to me. Bad. Until I stopped taking them. Aldi Bull, that's it.
Aldi Bull.
That's got fake Bull. Aye, and then you'd have a Red Bull now and again. See if you get a meal deal and it was part of a meal deal, you take it. I don't like that. I actually preferred the rotten tasting one, but I couldn't touch one. I've had maybe a couple of the sugar-free ones when I've been right down. But aye, that's my. Well, listen, I've done about 2.5 hours, so I kind of think I'll need to call it to an end soon. And let's see, I missed, there was something. I don't know what that was about, Craig. I told my son about you. Thanks very much for doing that. Who's the chatting honest? I take it that's when Alex was up, because the other three of us tonight are no very good.
Not a clue.
Alex was the governor, so I'm guessing that was him. And there's a few new members to the channel who joined while watching. That's Disco Dwarf, Malpal Red, and Boudica. Wonder, that's no Boudica, the same Boudica, is it, Kev?
What's that?
That's not the Boudica, is it?
No, that's not that. No, you're right about Juju.
Mm-hmm. Well, welcome aboard, folks. So I'm going to wrap it up just now because I'm kind of tired. And
you know what you'll end up doing?
What?
You'll close this down, right? You'll jump on the X. You'll see a space open, and then you'll not be able to. Just like back in the old days.
Do you know what? No,
I'll jump in for half an hour.
Do you know? No, and we used to be 3 a.m. and all that nonsense.
I like that.
Do you know what?
Mike, you used to say, right, I'm not coming into a space tonight, and you sit down in economy class, and we don't know you were sitting in there. Like, come on, Craig, out of there, come on, up you come on.
Well, you feel bad to me. But no, do you know what? I don't know. Sometimes I think I'm intelligent, and other times I know the truth. I've had a Prime, Amazon Prime for like ages. Because just before you came in, I'll show you what I got. Amazon were meant to deliver earlier on the day, and they never came till I started the space before you came in. I'll show you what I bought in a minute. But anyway, so I bought Amazon Prime because you get a free delivery and all that nonsense, and it was actually good value for me. And I had Amazon Music on my old phone that the cops have got. I'm not a big music fan, but I used to put it in the car now and again. And I don't know if I didn't realise or I just forgot, but you get Amazon Video.
Aye.
Video, whatever it's called. It's brilliant. So that's what it was. They sent me a voucher, a £5 voucher for that. I was like, what am I that for? And there's some good stuff on it. So I've got a telly there that I use as a, I've got 3 tellies in here and I don't turn any of them on. I've used that one there. I was in a podcast studio about 3 months ago, and the guy that was doing the editing had a big screen, and it looked easier because everything was bigger. And I was like, "What is that screen? A computer screen at that size?" And it's just a telly. I've just never thought of that. So I've got a telly sitting there, and I never turn on the tellies. I watch my laptop or my phone. So last couple of nights anyway, I went on and watched a couple of decent movies on that Prime Video. So that's what I'm going to do, because the X-Spaces are brilliant, but see, at night time they're the work of the devil. You just lose hours on them.
Aye, all right, big man. I don't know who you're trying to convince, me or yourself.
Right, I'll let you answer this one, Kevin.
Right, go. I can categorically say on this occasion, as much as I like ripping the piss out of them, no.
I'm not Catholic. I don't have a problem with Catholicism. That's not true. I think some it's there's
No, I'm not saying that you've got a problem with it. Just but the question is, are you one? And the answer to that question is again, no.
No. Why would you think that? I'm interested, Spanner, why you would have considered that. It's no problem, by the way. The boys will testify to the football thing used to be a big part of my life, and I'm still a football fan, but the madness that goes along with it's kind of doesn't even come into my thinking now. Religion doesn't even come in. And but no, I'd be curious to why you would even have considered that. It's a strange thing. Maybe I look like one, which means I'm you get my eyebrows shaved. It's funny.
Well, just before you wrap up, big man, I just want to reinforce the point. The Peterhead United boys are giving you another opportunity on the 6th of December, 2 p.m, Cameron Barracks in Inverness. You want to be a part of something, you need to get up there and get out in your streets and take to the streets. So 6th of December, 2 p.m, be there or be square.
Okay. I'm excited. And we'll just need to keep pushing that. Because we're really in November now, aren't we? What were the date? 28th? How many days in the 31?
31.
Aye, about a month away. We'll fly in.
The reason
I've got a funny feeling this will be a really that's a well reported protest, because that's big. That's like there's a, you think of the amount of, we're talking about the ex-armed forces personnel earlier on. You imagine the amount of people that will take real exception to the fact that these barracks will be in use for such a thing. They'll not like that.
I think there will be a few veterans there.
Aye.
Why? I think the veterans will just be right pissed off with that one. That's a bit of a jab in the gonads for them.
Even that, I mean, Scottish veteran was telling me actually the cadets were using that building, and they've moved the cadets out of there to house these people.
Oh, Amazon, right.
Right,
So Amazon, right. So what I got off Amazon was get two of these, right? Now, what these are for?
Oh, a muscle big man.
This is called Deep Heat, right? And obviously my age, and you've got a dodgy knee, so it's quite good to have Deep Heat. Now, I've had Deep Heat before in the tins about that size, but what I found is, see when I'm out and about, I maybe get a wee tweak. It's a hand pocket size one, so that will fit in my pocket. Quite handy. So that I ordered that off. I think it was Saturday or Sunday. I ordered it. Came the day, right? It's meant to come earlier on. And the other thing was this fancy keyring type thing, which is multi-purpose. Now, one of the main reasons I bought this was, you don't put your key in ignition anymore of your car.
Aye.
Well, fucking I was losing it, right? So I might actually use. Where did I put the horns? Where did it go? It was 3 came.
The red one.
Aye, where did it go? Why can I not see it? I've got anyway.
You bought it so you didn't lose your keys and you can't find
I
that.
can. So it'll no fall down as easy. And the other thing is, see if you're in a car accident, you put your thumb at the top of it, right, and you hold it tightly in your hand.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't go anywhere. And that end, you can get out the car in an emergency.
Oh, aye.
So I mean, it's a great thing. Another thing is, if you happen to be about and somebody else is trapped in a car, you can get them out.
Uh-huh.
So when I'm out and about, I've got 2 hands, I've got 2 pockets, and I think that was a handy wee survival kit that I got.
Well, I mean, look, it's I've got used to yourself, because I mean, I know how bad you suffer with your knees, so
yeah,
having a kind of Deep Heat on you all the time would make sense.
I just saw it and I thought, that's a great, a wee handy size of Deep Heat. So I got my Gillian one as well. I did. What did I put the bottom? There was 3 came. Like, I've not moved. I've not been anywhere. How can I lose them?
Do you know something,
right.
Ken? That's actually quite a handy thing. Could you send me a link to the equipment that you bought? Because obviously, I suffer from my knees as well.
Extremist knee syndrome.
Aye.
No, he's got can't climb up a hill syndrome. By the way, I'm worried.
There's no hills.
My mental health now.
We're not doing hills again. We know what these were.
Oh, I think so. Look at the comments. Look.
You've got Alzheimer's.
No. Look. I like this guy. Look.
It's a woman, by the way.
Is it?
Aye.
Peter Heed and Falkirk bides me. So aye, that was clever. That's bonkers, and imagine me forgetting where I put it. That's my wee hinky on my cables and all that. There's some amount of shite in here. And I'll get more now. So I'll put no, I'll leave that one out. Aye, so that was, I thought, and so it came just, I was about 10 minutes into the podcast and the door went, I went, oh shit, get Amazon. So aye. I had a pal who'd one of them, he was a martial arts guy, God bless him, Ronnie, he's dead now. And he always had one. And his thing was he could find his keys. And he had a silver one, so it used to sit on his desk at work, he'd never, well, there's the keys. So aye. And I seen them on Amazon. I thought, oh, that's that thing Ronnie had. And then I realised that they've changed the shape of them slightly, so they're ideal for, and it is tested that that'll take you into it. So I thought, oh God, can we get one of them? I've seen them for years.
You send me a link to them, please, mate.
No, I'll forget. That's called a Kubatang. And I think you'll be able to Google deep heat. There's only 4 letters on each of the 2 words, right?
Kubatang.
Keyring will be handy, Kev, if you get stuck on your bike, can to break one of the windows to get you your bike.
Exactly. That's why I was thinking about it, know what I mean?
Aye, so that was the night it was. That's brilliant, isn't it? Get folk helping my mental health while I'm on here.
I tell you what, some attention to detail to remember that though.
Oh.
Imagine that in the generation game.
Thanks, Baha. That was brilliant, that Grey Oaks were leading it. I thought, as I put it,
I tell you what, I noticed you've got me earlier on as well, big game. 80,000 you've got now following you.
I've been over there, mate, the channel. Do you know in the last 2 days before today, you lose subscribers all the time. And I've spoke to YouTube about it because there's people like yourself noticed it, Kev, and people that I know, and I know they're not unsubscribed, right? And they say, well, sometimes they do a wee freshen up to make sure it's not like, I think they call them redundant subscribers. There's folk that just never watch your channel, right? They delete you. And I'm like, aye, all right, because I know you watch all my videos, you about half of them. So in the last 2 days, the channel's been, see, since June, it's just been shite. And I'm hitting all the bells and whistles. People that are watching the videos are watching them for long. The people that see the thumbnails are clicking on them. So those 2 stats are good, which should normally mean YouTube should then push them into more people, because they go, people are clicking on the thumbnail, they're watching the video, and they're watching it for a good amount of time. They're not pushing the videos. And then you get another stat that shows you the people watching it, subscribers versus non-subscribers. And back in the day when the channel was flying, it would be like majority were non-subscribers. But now I can put a video out in the first hour, it'll be like 96% of the people who watched it being subscribers. So they're not putting it in front of new people, and I'm getting subscribers taken off me that are disappearing. So when it's only subscribers that are getting to watch my videos and they're taking subscribers off, it's kind of fucked, to be honest with you. And I wish I hadn't given up my job today. But that's where we are. Right, go and get Amazon Prime on, Prime Video, whatever it's called, and watch myself a wee movie and my kit. All right, so thanks very much to you guys for joining. Basil earlier and Alex was brilliant tonight. And to the thousands that have watched it in the different platforms that it's on. Thanks very much. Have a great day. Cheery bye now.